Hello, everybody. Chris Hughes here, and welcome to the Carolina Preps weekly video update. We're going to be doing this a little bit different, throwing in some different kinks and adding some new personnel. I want to introduce an old friend of mine, Kendra Glover. She's from the same part of Rowan County that I am. I think she's going to add a lot to our weekly little broadcast we're doing right here. So, Kendra, first and foremost, welcome to the program, and I can't wait to do this because I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I'm super excited to be a part of this and see where we can take this.
Well, I will kind of turn things over to you then, and let's get this thing rolling.
All right. Well, first, can you believe it's already week 10? I mean, the season has flown by, but with 3 games to go before the playoffs, tension is ramping up as teams are trying to make that late push to the playoffs. And for some, they're trying to win their conference championship. But before we dive into those top games, I know you saw Myers Park last Friday night defeat Hickory Ridge 52-14. And as you talked about on WBTV's Football Friday Night with Drake May, it could be the best quarterback you've ever seen. So tell us what makes him so special.
Well, I think Drake May is a phenomenal quarterback, and you're right, he is special. I was standing on the sidelines with Coach Sam Griner, former Harding coach, state championship winning coach there, and we were breaking down this guy's play, and he is phenomenal. It is like watching a Peyton Manning clinic video, and just the technical presence he has, eyes down the field, his eye discipline, the arm strength is phenomenal. He's got 3 future bona fide college players that he's throwing to. It's just a tremendous team, and I'm telling you, that Myers Park offense is a well-oiled machine. And they're going to do some great things, but it really all starts and ends with Drake May. He's only a junior. He's got plenty of time to break the passing records, or at least get in the ballpark of guys like Sam Howell, who's getting it done right now at UNC, and obviously Chris Leak, who everybody in the Charlotte area knows, who really took Independence to that next level and won a national championship at the University of Florida.
Well, you still have Mallard Creek as number 1 in 4A this week. So what made you stick with them?
Well, you know, Mallard Creek is a defensive team, and I keep saying this, defense wins championships. Now, do I think that Mallard Creek is far and beyond the best team in North Carolina? No, not really. I've now had a chance to see them both. I do think Mallard Creek's really good, though. Their defense, Trent Simpson, who, by the way, is decommitting from Auburn, is the news that had come down, is just one of the absolute best football teams that I've seen this year. They've already played a tough schedule, went on the road to play Coach Tom Knott's Dutch Fork team, came out with a 27-27 tie. But the fact that they hung with that team the way they did and have essentially started dominating since then, Mallard Creek really is the real deal.
Yeah. So our top game of the week is in Wake County between Wake Forest, who's 7-1, and they've won 3 consecutive state championships. But they play a relative newcomer to the big stage in Rollsville, who's 8-0. So let's not forget that Rollsville is the new kid on the block, the school that was part of the namesake of Wake Forest High School back when it was called Wake Forest Rollsville just a few years ago. So it has the makings of a big game.
It really does. And you're right, you know, for years, you know, Wake Forest, Rollsville, Coach Reggie Lucas, same coach that's at Wake Forest now, went to several state championships before they became Wake Forest, and have now won 3 straight 4AA state champions. And they are a phenomenal team. The way they run the ball, Coach Reggie Lucas, again, phenomenal. But let's talk a little bit about Rollsville. 8-0, brand new coach. In fact, a good friend of mine, I've coached against his teams years ago. Martin Samick came from Parkland. He's been at Mount Tabor as a coordinator. He's been at East Forsyth. He's got a great resume. He took over at Rollsville this year, and they have been phenomenal. They have done it with a little bit of – they've been very, very balanced. Sophomore quarterback Byron Brown has thrown for, I want to say, like 1,269 yards and about 20-some touchdowns. They've got one of the best offensive linemen in the state, in Jonathan Adorno. I had to get that one right. But incredible team. And, you know, Wake Forest, and what makes this game interesting is Wake Forest had a Shrine Bowl bound running back in Mikel Haywood, who was just incredible. Unfortunately, he injured himself a couple weeks ago. Don't think he's going to be back. And because of that injury, I do think that it pulls Rolesville just a little bit closer in this game. I'm not sure that I'm going to say Rolesville is going to knock them off, but I think it's going to be an incredible game, the best game in North Carolina this week.
I agree. It is going to be a good game. Let's shift our spotlight to Eastern North Carolina and talk about two powers in the 2A class. 8th-ranked Clinton will travel to 2nd-ranked Wallace-Rose Hill for what seems like the championship game for the East Central 2A Conference. So who do you think comes away with the win in this one?
Well, I really do think that this is the championship game for the East Central 2A, but that is also a very tough league, and there's a couple other teams in there that still hope to kind of make some noise. I know that James Keenan's kind of been in the mix. Wallace beat Midway last week. So, there's some other teams that are really good, but these two are far and away the best teams, and really you just got to look back at history. And Clinton and Wallace both have won numerous state championships. I had a chance to see Wallace-Rose Hill. They defeated Trask earlier in the year. They just got talent everywhere. I mean, I don't even know where to begin on there. They're just so good, so fast on both sides of the ball. But really, these are just two mirror imaging programs that mirror image one another. They both run the ball very well. They play exceptional defense. I just think this is going to be an incredible ball game.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move from the east to the west and look at the Mountain 6 Conference. Brevard are winners of 7 straight games. They're going to host Smoky Mountain, who's really been hot in recent weeks. So what do you think about this game?
Well, you think back to last year, Brevard went on an incredible run that ended in the 4th round, a very narrow loss to Reidsville, who ended up winning the state championship. So Brevard is a program that continues to trend in the right direction. I like everything that they've done. But Smoky Mountain has been electric here in the past couple of weeks. Got Will Frady, who's just running over everybody, cranking out yards left and right. They've already got a big win over Pisgah. They're just doing things on the up and up and up. And I don't want to necessarily say that Smoky's just going to run away with this game, because I think it's going to be a great game. These two teams are going to collide. But I do think Smoky might have a slight edge. But either way, if you're in the western part of North Carolina, in Hendersonville or anywhere in that neck of the woods, you ought to get to that game, because I think it's going to be an absolutely packed game. It's going to be hard to get in the stadium, and that's what high school football is all about.
Yeah, and it seems like western North Carolina just has a better atmosphere than some of our larger cities and even other parts of the state. What makes it better?
Yeah, they really do. Now, you and I come from a neck of the woods. You think of communities like Kannapolis and Concord, and even China Grove, where we both grew up. People care about football, and they always have. But now, and we've got it with kids and stuff, you see that there's so many other things for kids to do in a community, especially one of the size of Charlotte or Raleigh, so many other entertainment choices. Plus the fact, I don't think kids want to go out anyway. I think they just want to stay at home on their devices. But in the mountains, you got smaller towns, smaller communities that have just held on to that value and that love for football, and they pack them stadiums, because you got to think, in some of those areas, they don't have all the movie theaters. I know we went to the skating rink, so I think every town still has a skating rink, but I think they just go to football games.
Right. And that's how I grew up. Friday night, we were at the football game wherever they played, and Saturday we were at Carter Finley. So, all right. So our final spotlight game is going to be in the Triad, with Oak Grove hosting Ledford, a game that you're doing the broadcast for on My 48 in the Triad market. So what's going to happen?
That's going to be a big game. Oak Grove is a team that is 8-0. You got to realize they're a second-year varsity program. Second year that they've played varsity, a third-year school. I just got off the phone doing a conference call with both of these coaches, Chris Adams at Ledford, Mark Holcomb at Oak Grove, used to be the head coach at North Davidson. And Chris Adams brought up a very good point to me. He said every one of these players at Oak Grove, they've been in that program for 3 years. It's almost like they've been seniors 3 years in a row, because they didn't have that senior class. So those guys have just gotten better and better and better. And it's showing. Last week they had the big win over Salisbury, or Oak Grove did. They just continue to get better. Oak Grove, everything they do is on the defensive side. They got Mason Grubb, who is a phenomenal linebacker / defensive end. He's got an offer from North Carolina Central. He is that guy that you have to look at every down. You got to know where he's lined up, because whether he's coming off the corner or through the middle or whatever, Mason Grubb is an incredible player, doing a great job. He's going to make things hard for Coach Chris Adams, but, I like that option football that they play. They give the quarterback a chance to make a decision whether to keep it or pitch it. I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive game. Could be a little wet on Friday night. So, that kind of makes it an old school, just kind of a really hardcore kind of game. I can't wait.
Was it the Redskins, Sunday, that were slipping and sliding? Was
it was. And I'm a Redskins fan.
Maybe we see that Friday night.
Oh, man, I'm a Redskins fan. Let's not go there. It's been a tough season for them.
So before we wrap up, let's congratulate David Gentry, the head football coach at Murphy High School, on his 15-14 victory over Swain County last Friday. With that win, Gentry notched his 413th win. That pushes him ahead of the late Jack Colley as the state's winningest coach ever. So congrats, Coach.
Absolutely. And I love Coach David Gentry, a great guy. Worked with him 2 years in a row. Essentially, he was the Shrine Bowl head coach. He only got to coach in one of them because of the hurricane a couple years ago, the way that kind of worked out. But David Gentry, there's a reason that I've learned why he's the head coach. I mean, he is just a phenomenal why he was the head coach of the Shrine Bowl, and he's so good, 413 wins. Phenomenal organizer, but, he's old school. He's genuine. He loves those players. They love him, and it's just, I don't know, the dynamic. If I could package up what David Gentry's done to win those games, I'd sell it for a lot of money, because coaches aspire to be like he is.
Yeah, it's all about family.
Absolutely.
So you took a video 2 weeks ago, and we're going to call it the hit of the century. So it was Pamlico County when they played at Washington County, and let's look at that massive hit by Savon Tut, or we'll just call him King Tut.
Yeah, this is one of the most ferocious hits I've ever seen. You see him coming off the edge for the touchdown there. The game was played at Washington County, and you can even see that I flinched on the hit.
Yeah.
I was like 3 feet away, and it hit so hard that I was like, wow, I felt the impact myself. And I'm glad I wasn't that young man there, because that was a ferocious hit.
I know that one guy, maybe he feels embarrassed, but but anyway, so that's all we have time for in this first ever episode together. So I enjoyed our time together.
I did too. I think this has been great. I think you bring a lot to the broadcast, because, I mean, you're a very knowledgeable person. You've been around sports and a lot of stuff, cheerleading, a lot of different things. So you're not exactly a novice to this kind of business. You've been in education for a long time as well. So I think you get it, and I think that's what makes it so good.
All right, thank you.
And you're also wearing Carolina Prep's colors with that red.
I'm going for my alma mater and my new school coming up. I won't say. So for Chris and everyone on the staff of CarolinaPreps.com, and to all of you out there who support us, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next show.